Hey, third grade. Welcome to our Wednesday and Thursday to-do. What is our purpose as readers today? I can ask and answer questions. I can identify key details that show cause and effect. The question that we want to be able to ask and answer is that essential question: how can problem solving lead to new ideas? Here's our to-do. Watch this mini lesson. Read and record The Amazing Benjamin Franklin. And then complete workbook page, October 7th, Wednesday and Thursday, cause and effect. How to identify the cause and effect. Well, cause and effect. Cause is what makes something happen, why it happened. The effect is what happens, the result. Some signal words that we could look for in a text that an author might use: because, as a result, therefore, so, since, due to, which caused, if, then, consequently, thus. The most common cause and effect words that we will see are because, as a result, so, then. Here's an example of what makes something happen or why it happened. So it rained, and because it rained, I got my umbrella. So this is the result. This is what happens when it rains. The effect. So our purpose as readers today is to identify those cause and effect key details. We will do this by reading Mary Anderson's Great Invention. Again, let's review our purpose. I can ask and answer questions. We are going to ask the question, how can problem solving lead to new ideas? We're going to try and answer that question. While we are trying to answer that question, I can identify key details that show cause and effect. So let's close read Mary Anderson's Great Invention. We read this text already for the gist on Monday, and we were identifying features of the genre of biography. Now we're going to be answering and asking questions. So we're going to answer our essential question: how can problem solving lead to new ideas? And we are going to be identifying our key details that show cause and effect. So let's turn the page to the section, It Started with Snow. I am going to be thinking about those signal words as a reader that show cause and effect. It started with snow. Mary Anderson grew up in Alabama. In the winter of 1902, she went to New York City. It was a cold and windy day. The sky was a gray curtain. Snow was a white blanket on the ground. Mary was cold and wet. Because she wanted to warm up and get dry, she rode a streetcar. I remember that signal word, because. This is going to show me why something happened and then what happened. Because she wanted to warm up, this highlighter needs to work for me, and get dry. Come on, highlighter. There you go. She rode a streetcar. So we have a cause in yellow and the effect, what happened, in green. So I'm going to go back to my graphic organizer and I'm going to record my cause and effect detail. But before I do that, I want to think about my essential question. How can problem solving lead to new ideas? let's see, because she wanted to warm up and get dry, there's a problem. Mary Anderson is wanting to warm up and get dry. Here is a solution to her problem. She rode a streetcar. So not only do we have a cause and effect, but we're starting to find new ideas because of this problem. So we are now going to record this key detail that shows cause and effect. First, this is the key detail that took place. Because she wanted to warm up and get dry, she rode a streetcar. We just found our first cause and effect key detail in the text. Let's go back to the text. We are going to continue reading, thinking about our essential question. How can problem solving lead to new ideas? And our cause and effect relationship. Back then, some streetcar windshields had two parts. They opened with a push. From her seat, Mary watched snow and ice build up on the windshield. The streetcar driver could not see, so he pushed open the windshield. I'm going to pause here. First, I'm going to go back to my essential question. How can problem solving lead to new ideas? Well, I see a problem. The streetcar driver could not see. That's a huge problem. Here's a signal word that shows an effect. So what did he do since he couldn't see? He pushed open the windshield. He's starting to come up with a new idea to solve his problem. This might lead to another new idea. So I'm going to highlight that because that's important information. That shows cause and effect. The streetcar driver could not see. Yellow. And I love how the author used this cause and effect signal word for me as a reader. So he pushed open the windshield. Let's go back to our graphic organizer and record that. So we have our first cause and effect key detail. Here's our next cause and effect key detail. The streetcar driver could not see, so he pushed open the windshield. And here's that key signal word that shows cause and effect. Let's go back to our text to find more key details that show cause and effect. Let's read on. This helped him to see better. As a result, snow and ice blew in his face. Well, here's another signal that this is a cause-effect relationship. And I know effect is what happens or the result. So the driver pushed open the windshield. That's also being used as a cause now. And the effect, snow and ice blew in his face. There's another effect of snow and ice blowing in his face. If I read on, it says, soon his nose and ears were ice cubes. So I'm going to use that cause and effect detail because the streetcar driver is going to have to find a solution. There's this problem, and how does solving problems create new ideas? We're going to have to find out because we have a huge problem. The streetcar driver is frozen. Snow and ice blew in his face. A result of snow and ice blowing in the streetcar driver's face is his nose and ears were ice cubes. Let's record that on our graphic organizer. Then, snow and ice blew in his face. Soon, his nose and ears were ice cubes. Here's the cause, why something happened. Snow and ice blew in his face. This is why his nose and ears were ice cubes. This explains why. This is the effect. Let's go back to the text to identify our final cause and effect relationship in this section. Other cars kept stopping too. Sometimes the drivers hopped out. They wiped off their windshields, then they got back in and drove. As a result, traffic moved slowly. I see a keyword, a signal word, that shows a key detail for cause and effect. I see this word as a result. That shows the effect, because the effect is what happens or the result. Well, why did traffic move slowly? Cars kept stopping. So this cause isn't directly before the sentence. We have to reread the paragraph to understand it. Other cars kept stopping too. Sometimes the drivers hopped out, they wiped off their windshields. Then they got back in and drove. As a result, traffic moved slowly. So I'm going to highlight the cause. Other cars kept stopping too. Sometimes the drivers hopped out. They wiped off their windshields. As a result, I'll be patient with technology. There we go, it's working, yay. As a result, the traffic moved slowly. Let's record this on our graphic organizer. Finally, other cars kept stopping to wipe off their windshields. So we just paraphrased, we used more than one sentence to explain a cause. Other cars kept stopping to wipe off their windshields. As a result of the cars stopping to wipe off their windshields, traffic moved slowly. That's a problem. People are trying to get from one place to another. So going back to this essential question, how can problem solving lead to new ideas? Well, Mary Anderson connects right to this title, had a great invention. And if we go back to the text, the author does a great job showing us the effect of all of these problems taking place. Right here in the next section, the next step, there's a large diagram that shows the result of these problems creating new ideas. Mary Anderson's windshield wiper. So we asked our essential question, now we answered it. Because of all these problems, Mary Anderson developed a windshield wiper. So let's review. We identified cause and effect key details. Cause is what makes something happen or why it happened, and the effect is what happens. As a reader, we can identify signal words that will help us to identify those cause and effect key details. Today we used because, as a result, and so. We then read our text to identify all of the cause and effect key details. Because she wanted to warm up and get dry, she rode a streetcar. Next, the streetcar driver could not see, so he pushed open the windshield. Then, snow and ice blew in his face. Soon, his nose and ears were ice cubes. Finally, other cars kept stopping to wipe off their windshields. And as a result, traffic moved slowly. Mary Anderson took all of this problem solving and created the great invention of the windshield wiper. Third graders, you just asked and answered questions, and you also identified key details and showed the cause and effect. Enjoy doing this with your guided reading text.